Okay, so welcome back to my channel. I thought that it may be fun to review some of the shows that I come across that I think are really good shows, but are not filmed here in the States. I have a subscription to Acorn TV, and I have it through Amazon Prime, and so I'm able to see a lot of the shows from Canada and the UK. And to be perfectly honest, I haven't come across a bad show thus far. And so there's a show that I was watching recently called Love, Lies, and Records. And it basically takes place in the registrar's office, I believe in Ireland. I'm going to have to double check that. And there's maybe you have a handful of lead cast who actually works in the registrar's office, and it then kind of branches out to their people who are connected to them in some way. So the lead person is Kate, and her partner's name is Rob. And so they've been together for a number of years. Kate is the senior registrar, and Rob is a DI. Rob came into the marriage with the son, not marriage, with the relationship with the son from his previous marriage. Kate came into the relationship with the son from her previous relationship, and Rob and Kate have a daughter together named Lucy. You then have Judy, which you could tell after watching the first episode that she's going to be problematic. You have Judy is the acting superintendent, and so the person who initially held the job, she retired, and so Judy was kind of asked to step in until they was able to fill that position permanently. And next you have James, who transitioned to, I believe is going to eventually transition into Jamie. James is married with 2 sons, and he is going to go through the process of becoming a woman. So James is going to eventually transition into Jamie. Talia, she's the youngest of the group, and she's actually the newest member, and so she's still kind of training, kind of getting her feet wet and learning. But I'm assuming, as the show goes on, we're going to learn more about her. We didn't really learn too much about her in this episode. Rick is another registrar who you could tell kind of has a thing for Kate. And so at this point it hasn't said much about his life outside of the office. But of course, again, just the first episode, so things are going to start to unfold. And Anna is another registrar who works on the team. Aside from this, basically the first episode basically is introducing you to the characters. And it's kind of giving you a feel for their personalities and kind of how they interact and mesh professionally. And how they also have a genuine friendship. And so the first scene is basically the struggles of a working mother. Basically, Kate, she's trying to get herself together. We're trying to get the kids together to get them to school. And, Rob, they made reference to her having a big day. At that point, they didn't really go into what that actually meant. And so, it's the typical things, the children getting on your nerves, they're asking for things, everybody's begging, everybody needs, and she's, trying to get everybody together and get them out of the house so that she can make it to work. So she eventually gets the kids to school, and she makes it to work where she bumps into Rick. And so, they're having some just casual conversation, but you can tell that the way Rick is kind of looking at her, that you can kind of tell that he has a thing for her. But they kept it cool, kept it cute, kept it professional. The next person is Talia. That's when you meet Talia, who's the youngest person, and she's still trying to get her feet well. They have a little conversation. Okay. So the first person that Kate meets is Simon Armitage, and he's basically there to register the birth of his son. And while registering the birth of his son, he let Kate know that the mother is actually in hospice. She was diagnosed with cervical cancer when she was about 3 or 4 months pregnant, and she decided to proceed with the pregnancy. And at this point, it's like she is basically on borrowed time. So while he is experiencing one of the most exciting moments in his life, he's also experiencing one of the worst moments in his life. The birth of his son, but the death of his partner. And so Kate decides that, okay, he said that they, him and his partner, Jenny, wanted to get married, but they couldn't afford it. They could never afford it, and so Kate decided that she would move some things around, and because she knew that his partner was going to die, unfortunately, very soon, she decided to push forward, and she basically said that she would come to the hospice and she would do the birth registration for the son, but that she would also marry them because it was kind of like his girlfriend's her last request, so to speak. Like she wanted to be able to fill that for her. So of course, Simon is he's over the hill. He's extremely excited about this, and so of course they're making preparations to get this done as quickly as possible. Okay, so during this time, when her conversations with the other registrars, she kept referencing this meeting at 11 o'clock. And so we eventually find out that this 11 o'clock meeting is where they're going to find out who is going to fill the superintendent position permanently, whether they're going to bring someone in or whether they're going to promote from within. Now, Judy assumed that she was a shoo-in. She felt like she has the most experience, that she had already been kind of filling in until they were able to get someone in. So she just assumed that they would just transition her into being in that position permanently. However, much to her chagrin, their boss announced that Kate would be stepping into that role permanently. So you can see Judy's face crack. You can tell basically about their interaction with Judy is that she is she's like one of those supervisors that you just can't freaking stand. They are so rigid, and they think that micromanaging is some legitimate management style, which is not. It's harassment. Judy clearly has control issues with control, and it came out with this issue with the keys. So of course, where they keep the death records, birth records, and marriage records, it's a secured room, and so it's locked all the time. And so they have a wall where they keep the keys so that any registered whoever needs to go in there, who has authorization to go in there, can just get the keys and go and do what they need to do. Not on Miss Judy's watch. No, Miss Judy is going. She has the keys in her desk, so that you have to go in and ask her. Basically, you're asking her permission for the keys, so that you can go and do whatever you need to do. And she's not going to just give you the keys. You have to tell her why you need the keys. So she's like that. She would have been that kind of supervisor that everybody hates. And the thing is, nobody in the office likes her. She may have more experience. She's older, so she may have more experience. But, compared to Kate, who's also good at her job and who everybody loves, it was just really a no-brainer. Even the supervisor, their supervisor, was just too ecstatic to let everybody know that Kate was going to step into this position. Even he don't care too much for Judy. Okay. So after that whole thing went down, I believe Kate was trying to get things together so that she can go to the hospice to register and the whole thing. But she thought that she owed it to Judy to pull her to the side to have a private conversation with her. And so at first Judy was like, "Oh, she don't have time for a conversation." Blah blah blah. And of course Kate was like, "Oh, it'll only take a few seconds." And so they go into what was Judy's temporary office until she filled the position. And basically, Kate admitted that she had known a few days prior that she was going to get the job. But of course, obviously, you know how companies work. She couldn't say anything until it was officially announced. She couldn't, she couldn't say anything. But she knew that she had the job. And so when she admitted that, you could see Judy's face, because Judy had been walking around the whole time thinking that she was a shoo-in and that she was hot shit, and thought that it was, it was always gonna be a Judy. No, she was going to get that position. It was going to be the Judy show, and it was going to be her way or the highway. And then she kind of, you could tell that she felt like an idiot. And so, in order to strike back at her, we found out some situation happened in the records room. And so she basically admits to Kate that she knows that her and Rick bumped uglies in the records room and that it was caught on CCTV. So it was recorded because again, these records are in a secured place that has 24 hour surveillance. And so of course, that completely knocks the wind out of Kate. She's like, "What are you talking about? Why would you say that?" She was like, "Well," and then of course Judy, being the bitch that she is, she's like, "Well, I only thought about it only after I forget their supervisor's name. Only after he announced that you had the position." And of course, Kate looked at her and basically said, "You're a liar." Basically, Judy was keeping that in her back pocket just in case, and she decided to trot it out now. Okay, so the next scene is basically Kate and Rick. They're on their way to hospice to do the registration for the birth and the marriage. And so, of course, she had to tell Rick what was going on. So she had to give him a heads up to let her know, okay, Judy knows. Judy is one person in the office that you don't want to know anything about you because everybody hates Judy. So Judy knows the whole situation. And, I mean, at this point, that was pretty much all that was said. So he was like, well, what are we going to do? What is she going to do? So it's kind of up in the air, like, what's going to happen with that? And so the next scene, pleading. Okay, the next scene is basically Judy talking to their supervisor, basically saying that she had been passed over twice, and that she thought that anybody but Kate would be a good fit for that position. And he listened to her, even though he didn't really care for her, and just basically Kate got the job. It is what it is. And so, in that moment, you do kind of sort of feel like you understand Judy to a certain extent. She's an older woman. She's been a register for a number of years. She feels like she's paid her dues. And now here's an opportunity for her to move up. And she feel like it's yet another missed opportunity, something that has slipped through her fingers, or she feel like she's been passed over yet again. And so, in that, you do feel a small amount of sympathy for her. If you've ever, working these jobs, if you've ever feel like you've put in the time and you've done the work and you feel like you're not getting the recognition that you deserve, of course, anybody is going to feel frustrated. But Judy took it to a whole new level. It's just a mess. A hot-ass mess. Okay? So, okay, so Kate walks in. Okay, I have to go back. Kate walked in on James while he was kind of interviewing a prospective couple. So they're coming in. You have one is Iranian. One of the man is Iranian, and I think the woman is Slovenian. And so he had his cousin there, and she had, I guess, a friend there who was able to translate for them. And so this kind of union, it's kind of janky. Like Kate is, she's worked that job for a while, and she can kind of tell people who are getting married for love, and those who are just getting married for a green card. And so it's something about this union and these people that's kind of off-putting to her. And so she, was just kind of asking them a number of questions, this, that, and the third, and basically told them what the next step was going to be, and sent them on their way. And so during the during the meeting, so after that they went to the meeting, but the couple, they actually forgot their IDs. So eventually, during talking about it, they wanted to just do, and under the guise of taking the people back their ID, they wanted to go and see the house, see where they lived, to kind of see what was up, because of course something still wasn't sitting right with them about this whole situation. I think, and obviously, I've seen the episodes, seen some of them, so I know it's going to be a reoccurring thing about this potential union that's going to keep coming up. And so, unfortunately, after leaving that house, it was they had the conversation with the translator, and like I said, they left again still feeling like something was off. So she was on her way to drop James off, and she saw Simon. And so, unfortunately, Jenny died that night. So, they got married at some point during the day, and Jenny passed away that night. And so, of course, Simon was inconsolable. He's walking with the baby in the street, like he almost got hit. It was a whole dramatic scene. And so, she took him to his parents' house. I think it was his parents' house. And, she started to reconsider her kind of thoughts on marriage and commitment. Because she had been with her partner for years, but they never married. And it probably had something to do with the fact that she did admit that her son's father ran off with her sister. And so, her kind of view on marriage and commitment, and that was kind of tainted in a way. Like, she didn't really, even as a registrar who marries people for a living, her view on marriage was, I don't want to say, I'll just leave it there. It was kind of tainted. She didn't really think too much about it. I don't know if she thought badly about it, but I don't she just really didn't. It wasn't something big, something that was in her, at the forefront of her mind, like, oh, we have to get married. And so, but after, going through the experience with Simon and just everything I think that had gone on that day, she kind of softened on the idea, and eventually she eventually had a conversation with Rob about wanting to get married. And she's very emotional because of the whole Simon thing, and the son growing up without his mother, and the sacrifice his mother made as far as going through the whole pregnancy, carrying him to term, only to not be here to watch him grow up. It really affected her. So, and of course, Rob was like, "Sure, you're the one who said that you didn't want to get married, or it wasn't a big deal. Marriage wasn't a big deal." And so he was all for it. So Kate, before this happens, I'm kind of jumping right here. So before this happened, Kate tried to rush back to the office so that she can go and find the footage and delete it from the CCTV. And while she did that, next thing you know, Miss Boss Lady, wannabe Boss Lady, walks in and was like, you just basically telling her that she don't even need to bother to do that because she's already copied it. So Judy has a copy somewhere of this incident, and she's basically at this point blackmailing Kate for this job. So basically, if Kate doesn't turn down the job and recommend Judy for the position, she is going to release the footage. So that's where we are. That's why that's Judy bitch, girl. So, let's fast forward back to when Kate is at home, and, he consoles her, and of course they agree to do the whole marriage, and he's all excited. And so Rob runs downstairs to tell the kids, that, oh, there's going to be a wedding, and your mom's getting married, da-da-da-da-da. And next thing you know, you hear a buzz on Kate's phone. And so she grabs her phone, and that bitch Judy has sent her a copy of the footage. Just basically to let her know, yeah, I do have this, and I will release this if you force my hand. And so, of course, Kate is, she has the reaction. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm coughing so much. She's about to lose it. I can imagine that her whole life is flashing before her eyes. Her marriage, her relationship, her future marriage. How all this stuff is going to impact her children. All of this stuff. And then you hear a knock at the door. And so, it's James. And James basically tells her that he told his wife. Now remember, James is married with 2 sons. He basically went home that night and told his wife that he was going to transition into a woman. And so he's going to transition from being James to Jamie. And she threw him out. And he felt like the only place that he could go was to Kate's. And so he did. And of course, they put him up for the night. And that was another emotional scene. He's basically, like his whole life is just kind of gone up. in flames. You know, he's lost his wife. You feel like he's lost his children. I mean, but he knew the risk, and I think to a certain extent was prepared for that. And so basically that's where the first episode ended. So if you've seen any episodes from this show, please let me know in the comment section. I think it's a very good show. I really like the show. Like I said, I haven't come across a show that I haven't thoroughly enjoyed thus far. I will say that Jamie was kind of messy because during the meeting, after it was announced that Kate will get that position as the superintendent, Jamie took that time to stand up to tell the people in the meeting that he was going to be transitioning from James to Jamie. I'm like, Heifer, that was not your moment. That was Kate's moment. So, if anything, I would say I had an issue with that. Aside from Judy, where he kind of stole her thunder a little bit. Like, okay, that's fine. You want to let people know what's up, but why did you have to use Kate's moment to let the world know that, you know, that some changes are going to be coming? So, again, let me leave this here. It is almost 8:30. I'm going to continue, obviously, to watch because it's only like 6 or 7 episodes. And I think I'm just going to upload an episode each week as if it's just a regular series. Because I'm not going to watch kind of go back and watch all these episodes all over again and try to remember every single thing. So, yeah. So I think that's how I'm going to do this. So I am going to say goodnight. And I hope you enjoyed this review. And I will talk to you guys later.